Alright, so you're probably wondering why the big change? Why did I switch from goats to cattle? Well, 2 cows anyways. Um, well, let's give you a little history lesson here. Way back when, forever ago, that's approximately, let's see, 7 years ago, I think. 6 or 7 years ago. That's what way back when forever ago means, just in case you didn't know. My dad wanted to get goats. He wanted to do show goats for some reason. I don't remember why. That was forever ago. But he wanted to get goats, and then my grandpa wanted to get goats, and so they got goats. That's what the pasture is out back. That was Dad's goat pasture. And I never wanted goats. I wanted nothing to do with goats. But yet, somehow, they became my goats. So I took care of the original herd, and then they started dying off because they were basically pets. They weren't going to leave the farm. They became pets, so they started dying off. I think we sold a couple of them. And I couldn't afford cattle at the time. I was young. I was in high school still. And my grandpa, he's always had cattle. Well, he got out of cattle and went into goats. So I didn't want goats. I always wanted cattle. I wanted to show cows. I wanted the whole 9 yards, you know. Well, I got into goats. So I built the one barn that I used to sit beside this one, that shed. And I started off, I bought some bottled calves. And I didn't have good luck with those. I gave them an electrolyte solution that actually ended up killing them. It set up like, not concrete, but jello. And it expanded inside their rumen, and it wasn't good. So, I had 2 bottle calves, so I got rid of the bottle calves, and I was already taking care of some goats at the time. So, you know what? Let me get some goats. So I bought some goats. And, had goats. I bought Lily, the most recent one that died. She was one of the original ones I bought. I bought 4 of them. I bought 3 off the ag teacher and 1 off a girl I knew, and I had them for a while. And then one of them ended up getting bloat when I was gone somewhere. She got into some wet hay and bloated and died. So, and then I bought more goats, and got rid of goats. Then I started breeding goats, and up to where I started doing YouTube. And here recently, I've just been kind of getting a little bit tired of the goats. I've been wanting to change. And I had quite a few goats get worms recently. And there's not a lot of worming solutions for goats. And there's way more worms than there is wormers that kill worms. So I was having, and it started last year, the year before, I started getting to where they were getting some kind of worm, and I guess it was hookworm. And I can't find an over-the-counter wormer that would kill hookworm. And you got to take the sample of the worms to a vet to have it checked to see what kind of worm it is. And some vets won't do that. And I never looked into having it done just because I figured I could combat it myself, and I couldn't. So I lost some goats last year, and then this year I lost some more goats, and I just had enough. When Lily, the original goat that I started with, died, I said, you know what? I'm kind of tired of goats. And I got down, those were the 4 best goats I had. They have had 0 worming problems. 0 worm problems. And I decided, you know, if I'm going to get out of it, now's the time to do it while I have some good goats that I can sell and make money with. So I got cattle. There's all kinds of medicine out there for cattle. And I always wanted cattle. My grandpa had cattle for a long time. He had, I think at the most he had 6 or 8 at one time. Nothing too crazy. I can't go too crazy here. And I wasn't going to get anything for right now because we're looking into expanding the farm and stuff this coming year. There's going to be some big changes this next year. And hopefully everything works out, and I'm looking into some land, maybe even buying half of this place and some other stuff. But Dad's getting a place that's got some land right down the road, like right there, catty corner. So there's going to be a lot of changes this coming year, and I'm excited for it. And so why not change something else, But these are steers. Well, they're not steers yet. They're bull calves. They said they were steers, but I've done my investigation and found out that they're not steers. They're still bull calves. The one in the corner, which it's hard to see because they're dark, and it's dark in here a little bit. The one in the corner weighs 150 pounds. The other one's 180, I think it is. And I paid $1.35 for the smaller one and $1.20 for the bigger one, which I thought I paid $1.30 for each of them. But the auctioneer was really hard to understand. I mean, like, extremely hard to understand. I'd never had an issue before. And so I wanted heifers. I went with the steers because I bought the one, and I was hoping the next one was a heifer because I couldn't get in the pen to check them out. They had them in there with a bunch of other cattle, and the place was crowded because they were having that goat sale, and I couldn't get in there to check them out. So I had to wait until they were coming through the ring. And so I bought the first one, and I was like, well, I got to buy the second one because I can't just have one. I said, if it's a steer, it's a steer, whatever. I'll feed them out and sell them and get me some heifers. I'd really like to get some belted Galloways or something different. And so what we'll end up doing with these two is we'll either feed them up a little bit, sell them as feeders again, or we'll fatten them out, sell them as fats, maybe butcher one for ourselves if we need a hamburger at the time. But I can get some cheap hay from a buddy that I can feed them, and I can put a round bale in there, and they'll eat it up decently, and they'll eat most of it. They won't waste it like a goat will. And they're more cattle you can put in an enclosed lot better than you can a goat. A goat really needs to be out foraging and everything, but the problem is with a goat, if it goes out and forages on a pasture, it's easier to pick up worms. A goat should be out in the woods or something foraging up high so they don't pick up worms. But a cow can graze pasture and everything. But I got to redo the feedlot part of where the goat barn is here. And if you guys catch me calling this the goat barn still, it's because it's been for the goat barn for the past 5 years or 4 years, or 4 years I think about it. So it will forever be called the goat barn, but I got to redo it because it's not set up for cattle, it's set up for goats, and the cows would just push the cattle panels over. So I'm going to put up some fence posts and or some wood posts and redo the cattle panels. And I don't know if I'll put up the pasture or not. Like I said, we got some changes coming, so we'll see what happens. But that's the reasoning. If you followed, I know it was kind of choppy. If you followed that, that's the reasoning for me getting calves now. And I like bottle babies. I would get bottle babies if I was out here, if I lived out here and could feed them every morning and every night. But I live in town, so that's not feasible, and I don't think the neighbors would appreciate a garage full of bottle calves, because I could have picked up some nice bottle calves real cheap. They were selling real cheap. And I mean, by nice, they were real energetic. They would come up and want to suck on your fingers. I bought some that, will hide in a corner and you can't even get to move. But they had some real energetic bottle calves down there. But these were the only two that were the same size that weren't jerseys. These were actually, they had the Red Angus there. It was about $250. And they had these two. They were kind of tucked back in the corner. My cousin actually found them. And then they had some jerseys that were about $250, $300 maybe, that all matched in size. But I had them Jersey Holstein crosses before, and I didn't want any more. So I bought some colored cattle. So we'll keep you updated on the progress of these guys. I don't know if we're going to name them or not. Casey says they need names. I think not. But if you guys have names for 2 steer calves, drop them in the comments and we'll see what we can come up with for names. But anyways, thanks for watching and stay tuned.